Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back to episode 110 of the Snarp Fangle Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Metzger, a lost, forgotten, sad spirit, making his way through the nurseries of real metal sound, just waiting for the high horse to take him home. And joining me, he's my co-host, the man who is both too old and too cold. One might call him an enemy of the Sunoi, but his metal knows what metal really means. Ladies and gentlemen, David Reed.
Yo.
How are we today, David?
Pretty good. And I knew you were going to mispronounce that. It's just sun.
With a bunch
it's
of
just sun.
Curved apostrophe.
It's just sun.
Why'd you put an O after it?
Because that's the logo of the band Sun. It's actually a double reference. That Enemy of the Sun is the name of a Neurosis album, and Sun with that stylized in that way is the name of a drone doom band.
David wrote my intro today, and I have yet to read it. This is me reading for the first time, ladies and gentlemen. And our guest for today is a woman who has summoned let's see. Who has summoned Damadagsnat with Thor's hammer, but she's no arch enemy. Ladies and gentlemen, Adelaide Metzger.
Hello.
Okay, dude, how do you spell that?
How do you
pronounce that one?
I mean, it's Swedish. I'm assuming it's
Damadagsnat.
It's probably something like that.
Wouldn't the O be like a sound?
Maybe. I'm no.
Dermadag.
It's yeah. That's the name of an album, a doom metal album featuring the guitarist of the band Sun, with a vocalist who was a high school senior.
With you
from
high school.
No, who was a high school senior at the time. This was like in 1990 or something like that.
Okay.
Who was like a high school senior doing like who was like a foreign exchange student.
Okay.
And she ended up being the vocalist.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then the band disbanded shortly after that because she went back to Europe and finished her education.
Wow.
And the two dudes went on to form Sun, one of the more prolific drone doom acts in the history of metal.
Maybe that's how you pronounce it, drone doom. It's just spelled that way.
Maybe. It sounds like everything leads back to Sun.
And speaking of that, for comments, concerns about Sun, and if you want us to listen to your favorite album and take a deep dive into it, send it on over to snarpfanglepod@gmail.com, or you can just text Jake about your metal opinions. And today, before we get started, guys, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to talk about this album, because today we got a whole new world to explore from this 2007 classic.
That's track 7.
Our album today is the official third album from the Celtic Women, A New Journey, featuring tracks like The Last Rose of Summer, Scarborough Fair, and Cherrick Fergus.
Celtic Women? Is that like the
band,
the sequel to Celtic Woman? Like they just like we need to create a new musical act, but even bigger with more people. So we'll call it Celtic Women.
Well, that's because I mispronounced it, David. It's Celtic Woman. And come on, David, you can't deny that Graniela's Dance is a banger track.
Oh, you know me.
Really good.
You know me. I'm like the #1 Celtic Woman fan around these parts.
Yeah, right after you listen to Neurosis, you just pop on Celtic Women. By the way, I went through all their album art. It's the same dang picture of the redhead chick, just reversed and flipped in different aspects on each album.
The only headshot
It's so lazy. I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, maybe they felt
I don't care
like
if that was your senior photo. And
maybe she felt like she took the perfect photo and she just couldn't bear to use any lesser one.
I mean, she is breathtaking, to say the least. But using it like on 7 or 8 different albums throughout 2 decades, come on, guys.
I like the idea of like walking into the house and hearing the track Walking in the Air coming from David's room. Like whoa. It's so transcended in here.
It's on his Enya Miscellaneous playlist on Spotify, which he doesn't use. All right, anyway, the real album we're talking about today. Are you ready, David? Rappers or rockers and hip hoppers, here we go. Let's start living it up, Adelaide, and watch Fight Club 28 times as we finally talk after much demand. Finally talk about what you all came for today. And that is the 2000s classic. You've listened to it in the car. You've listened to it in the shower. And even your baby shower. And that is Limp Bizkit's Chocolate Starfish and Hot Dog Flavored Water.
Oh, man.
Let's roll.
Finally.
Let's roll, baby.
Finally.
After
for this day.
after all those times we led people on, we're finally gonna do it, guys.
Finally doing it. Actually, we're going to do a Limp Bizkit album.
I feel like it gets commented in your YouTube comments at least once a week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every video.
I see Chocolate Starfish and I'm like, I need to ban these people because I didn't know what it meant.
Ban these people.
Stop saying that. It's salacious and weird. All right. Well, actually talking about, David, do you want to intro and tell the people, the good people out there, the good Fangles, what we're here to talk about today?
So yeah, we're going to do a peak analysis on one of my all-time favorite metal albums, Panopticon by ISIS.
Ooh, the terrorist group?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were such a fan of them.
Oh yeah, you know me.
You're on Live Leak just refreshing that page every week.
Were they even around when this early 2000s when this band
In
was...
some form, but you know.
I mean, to be fair,
Bin Laden was.
The ISIS terrorist group was actually during the Obama era.
Yeah,
This
I feel
band
like it's
was
a recent thing.
Yeah, this band was at its peak. I mean, recent kind of. It's not really recent, but sure. This band was kind of at its peak more during like Bush's second term.
Mm-hmm. 04. And yeah, so we're going to talk about Panopticon. So it's a metal album, David. And how would you describe it for the folks out there?
So this falls under kind of a interesting little subgenre known by most people who are aware of its existence, that is, as post-metal. And the idea is that it's heavy music that combines some of the sounds and sort of flavors and approaches of post-rock. So you had it all kind of started with a band called Neurosis. So they started in the early 80s, not the late 80s, sorry, the late 80s as like a hardcore group. And then
during George Sr.'s term, or George, the late 80s.
Yeah, so during the late 80s, they started off as kind of like a hardcore band. After a couple albums, they transitioned into a heavier sound that they essentially created a genre because no one had ever heard anything like this at this point. So at this point, they sort of created a genre that is now known as sludge metal to most fans of the band. And then so they released several albums in the 90s, and then in 2001, I want to say, they radically shift their sound. They release A Sun That Never Sets, an album that's still crushing and heavy and has all the hallmarks of metal music, but has radically different song structures, sounds, and just basically it sort of called back to post-rock bands like Explosions in the Sky or Mogwai or
that was the name of a band?
Yeah, or
Bird.
Godspeed You Black Emperor, that sort of kind of stuff.
Sounds like a quote from Dune.
Well, the Mogwai were the anti-gremlins in Gremlins.
Yes.
They were the fuzzy guys.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
But yeah, I can tell by your responses that neither of you know what any of those are.
Yep.
But yeah, those are what are called post-rock bands. And yeah, so this new album by Neurosis was still metal, still heavy, but kind of took sort of inspiration and cues from bands like that. And again, it kind of created a genre. It hadn't really been done before. So people started calling this post-metal because it's metal that's been influenced by post-rock. And then ISIS comes along I think they formed in, I want to say 99 or 2001. And they actually started as a hardcore band, very much like Neurosis did. But they sort of skipped the sludge metal phase and went straight to the post metal phase. And so their sound over their early releases up to Panopticon kind of like slowly morphed into from being like angry hardcore to like basically almost like what you like might call like very chill, very atmospheric.
That's what I would say, an ambient
kind
of rock.
Ambient music, but still very much in the heavy category, still very much in the metal category. And so despite not creating the post-metal genre, that credit goes to Neurosis, ISIS were like a very instrumental in kind of basically turning post-metal from like a one-off sort of like creation of one band into a whole scene.
Yeah.
Like their sort of refinement of Neurosis's approach sort of inspired a whole lot of other people to kind of do their own take on the sound, and post-metal grew from just being, just one band's, reinvention to an entire subgenre of metal that we have today.
Interesting.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I was looking up like what genre this album would be, and it's interesting when you look up anything that's post, like anything with the word post, like rock or post metal. I feel like it's only isolated to a specific era of years, because I feel like that's when things were evolving, like the late 90s, early 2000s. Eventually we got other subgenres after that, but I feel like the word post refers to like just a specific era, because you don't really see that described in a lot of bands nowadays. People like to say progressive metal because it's ever changing and influencing. So if people like label their band it's progressive metal, they can basically do whatever sound they want as long as it includes like heavy guitars and heavy drums and stuff like that, then it would still be considered metal or rock. But then they can add other influences of sounds in it. So I just think that's interesting, the word post. I'm like, I don't see that a lot nowadays. I feel like that's really restricted to the early 2000s.
Well, yeah. Also with post metal, it's kind of like there was a sort of burgeoning of the like explosion of popularity. I mean, like very tiny explosion in the grand scheme of things.
It's like I was one of them.
As more and more bands sort of started doing their take on this stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, post-metal is a very kind of isolated, closed-off scene. There's not a whole lot of stuff that leaked out into the wider metal community. So, and of course, other bands who aren't associated with post-metal at all might have independently decided, hey, I could use this, I'm really inspired by, explosions in the sky. So I want to make heavy music that sounds like explosions in the sky, So somebody could have independently sort of done that, not knowing that idea has already been done by multiple bands, but like, so they just wouldn't know to call it post-metal.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like, I call it post-metal. A lot of people call it post-metal, but the only people that do are the people who are in the know.
Yeah, who were part of that group when it happened.
Well, let's go through our history of metal real quick. I'll be very quick about this. Basically, for me, I'm a very much not into metal kind of person. It's not my forte or what I lean towards, really. I'm more of the metal I have experienced is more in video games. So like Doom, other stuff like that. A little bit of here and there in different kind of video games. So I'm very much a newbie and not a connoisseur of the genre. I mean, if you were to ask me metal or punk, I'm going punk every time, in all honesty. Other things such as like if I would have had a choice between Motley Crue and Fleetwood Mac, I'm going Fleetwood Mac. Two totally different options, obviously, but as well as like Pantera or Bruce Hornsby. I'm a Bruce Hornsby boy. We're going Bruce Hornsby. But if you do metal or opera, we're going metal on that one. I'm sorry, but metal's winning out in this one. But yeah, I'm more of an easy listening guy. So diving into this album was more of a out of my comfort zone kind of thing. So thank you, David, for bringing this up and making me stretch a little bit.
I feel like I don't know what you mean by easy listening, like chill,
like yacht rock, like like yacht
like some
rock.
good old
What is
Christopher
yacht
Cross.
rock?
Yeah, sure. Steve Winwood, some 80s stuff, maybe
Oh.
some soft rock, a little bit of hard rock. I don't know. I'm a Christian guy, grew up in the country. I had a lot of Christian artists I followed. I love rap.
A little bit of Tears for Fears.
A little bit of Tears for Fears in there. Why not? Which, is the reason Reliant K exists. So, but yeah, I'm just a fellow reluctant traveler on this ISIS voyage of yours, David. Please don't take my opinions, audience, too seriously as we hop onto the Panopticon
I think they would call you a casual listener.
Oh, super
Like
beyond
you just,
casual.
if you find a song in the metal, that sounds
Dabbler.
good, you probably just
a
like
dabbler,
it.
a dabbler traveler. Adelaide, what's your history with metal? We were making fun of you
Oh,
the other day about your taste. At
I
least
love
David
being made
was.
fun of.
At least David was.
Sorry.
I couldn't help myself.
So Adelaide,
I-
what? You dressed up as one of your favorite band members for Halloween last year,
I did.
and it was very disturbing to see you in blackface.
Oh, it was so fun.
It was very.
Oh no, I don't. I didn't know you were gonna say that.
We're gonna clip that. We're gonna clip that out. I say
He's not. He's gonna keep it
I
in.
love how you said black. I love how you were in blackface, and you said,
I thought
it
you
was
were
so
just
much
gonna say
fun.
black paint, because that's what I did.
You know me. You know the night I was there. Connor came by, and I said, "Hey, you know what she's wearing?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I know."
Oh my gosh.
It was a fun night of Halloween, to say the least. Anyway, Adelaide, what's your history with metal?
That was the danger of coming onto Snarp Fangle.
Oh yeah,
Is that
you know
like,
the
they're
risks.
gonna put words in your
You
mouth?
know the risks.
He like edits out the words individually and puts a sentence together to make it look like I said.
I love to hate people. Oh man, just don't say the word black because I can use that to my advantage.
It was black paint.
Oh shoot, she said it.
My history with metal, I feel like I didn't really dive into like the really heavy like I dabbled in like thrash metal recently. I know, I heard that too. Like over the last year or so, and I found a band I really liked of that. My first metal, like actual metal genre album was an Under Oath album. Oh gosh.
I'm in. Under Oath doesn't count as metal, but sure, go on.
I had never heard anything like that before. And that was back in the days when like you go to the Christian bookstore and you can pop the CD in to listen to the demo. And I was listening to it and she's like, I said, you pick one out for me. It was my friend. And she's like, I don't know if you like this. Yeah, do you listen to this? I was like, I don't know. I like rock. And she's like, okay. So she bought me an Under Oath album and I can't even remember which one it was. But I never heard anything like that before in my life. Like the screaming. They do more of like a deep kind of guttural throat stuff. It's not really like screaming. I'm into more of like the wild screaming part of it. That's one thing I want to say later too, is there wasn't a lot of vocals on this album, and I'm very much a vocal person. I like hearing the vocals of the artists and the people singing. Gosh, that was like 15 years ago, more than that, when I first heard that, and I was not into it. I did not like Under Oath when I first heard them. And then
Very
I
few people
discovered As I Lay Dying, and I loved As I Lay Dying, which they're controversial now. They're kind of canceled, but I still love their music a lot. And then it just went off from there. I just started exploring all different subgenres and
Parrot metal.
parrot metal. I've heard parrot metal before on TikTok, but no, I don't listen to that casually.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, I listen to a lot of different rock and subgenres, and I'm really open to anything, which is why I was curious. Like, I'd never heard of this band before, and I was like, what's this? And can I say what me and Chelsea said when we first hit play? Because I had you
no.
sent me the link.
Yeah.
I was hooked up to the Bluetooth speaker. Like, well, let's listen to it. I hit play, and we're listening to it. And the first thing Chelsea says is, it sounds kind of like early 2000s. Like, it's the first thing she said. I'm like, yeah, like, would it be in the trailer to The Crow or the first Underworld movie? And then we looked up the year, and we're like, oh, that explains it. Because there's a very specific, I feel like, sound. That's probably what post-metal and post-rock is like, there's a very specific sound for that era, and then it made its way into like action movie trailers and video games and stuff.
Actually,
like
they
that.
did not.
Really?
It did not. You're completely wrong.
Well, it sounded like it.
You're
No,
completely
yeah,
wrong.
you made an association.
It sounds.
And I mean,
somewhat
it's I
like
mean,
that
it's
stuff,
it,
yeah.
the
Would it
album
not go with the crow?
the album was released in 2004. So yes, the production would have probably been reminiscent of the production would have been reminiscent of the time. I'll grant you that. But yeah, this music is actually pretty isolated.
Yeah, I don't see it in something like Revenge of the Sith, but something like Underworld.
Well, no, that's
or,
mainstream.
But something like Underworld, or maybe
I immediately
a
thought
Kate
the crow.
Beckinsale action flick. You know.
And the thing about this too is like the sounds that you find in this album, like you could almost draw parallels to between like them and movie trailers simply because of the influences.
Mm-hmm.
So post-rock draws from a lot of compositional techniques that are used by people who make music for movies and television shows. Because the whole idea of post-rock was to basically use the mannerisms or the lingo of rock and roll to do something that is actually not rock music at all.
Mm-hmm. I actually made a note in here as I was listening to the album, and I said it almost sounds like a soundtrack.
Yeah, so
because there's movements happening.
Yeah, so this being this album being influenced by post-rock would have sort of absorbed those compositional techniques, and you would have ended up with similarities to like a movie trailer or something, but there's no actual direct link between this scene and really anything else. It's a very isolated musical scene.
Another thing is some of the sound, I don't know, maybe it's like the post-rock and post-metal sound where it's like, you got much darker tones. You're not going to hear any major chords. Well, there's some major chords in this one. I think I wrote down which track it was. But I also thought, just because it's the closest thing to what I can like think of what it sounds like, is some of like the 4th and 5th Breaking Benjamin albums is where they went really echoey, dark tones. I feel like they didn't really highlight the like plucking a lot. There's a lot of plucking in this with the guitar.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought of Breaking Benjamin. I was like, this almost sounds like the dark tones of Breaking Benjamin.
Somewhere I belong. Was that Brent?
No,
dang it.
That was Linkin Park.
Dang it. Sorry. I'm looking at all those Gen Z edit cuts with that song. My bad. Shouldn't have made assumptions. David, what is your personal journey with metal before we dive into the album here?
So my personal journey with metal is I discovered metal in high school.
No way.
And,
me too.
And like I was kind of already into like hard rock at that point. I think
Limp Bizkit?
No, not Limp Bizkit.
Okay, yeah, thank God.
System of a Down was actually my favorite band in high school. Like early on in high school. And so I was always like I was hearing like hard rock on the radio. Like I really appreciated the heavier stuff. And so then when a friend of mine showed me music that was actually heavier than rock on the radio, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I thought it was the same feeling when I found a specific, like As I Lay Dying, when I found that album, I was like, oh my God, what have I been listening to my whole life? Like, it's interesting.
I've been looking for
my introduction to metal was, let's see, I think the first metal band that I heard that was truly metal would have been as a Christian metal band called Becoming the Archetype. And they were like progressive metalcore, basically. So they're like kind of like As I Lay Dying, kind of like what's that? What's that? I almost said Earth Crisis, but not them.
Earth Crisis.
What's that really popular metalcore band?
It's like a Transformers
from like the 90s. Oh, I can't remember.
I'm gonna look up and see what Spotify relates to that. Because
what was the one that you Christian one? Something Archetype.
Yeah.
All That Remains, or August Burns Red. I think they're a Christian one.
Yeah, they're Christian. Are they metal?
Yeah.
Oh.
Parkway Drive?
Unearth.
Oh.
Unearth is the band I'm thinking of, because that was like
Oh,
the
look, there they are.
that was the
Which
that
goes
was the tagline of like that was like the tagline that somebody on the internet gave the band, and it just like stuck with me. It was Unearth meets Opeth, and Opeth is like a progressive death metal band from like the 90s.
You were living good. during
So
that time.
yeah, that was my introduction. That was probably my first metal band that I really, really enjoyed. Was a progressive metalcore band called Becoming the Archetype. And after that, I just kind of like I was in a place where I was like hungry for music that wasn't mainstream. So I kind of went deep into the darkest pits of the metal subgenres.
Whoa.
And like basically I was like from about 2007, 2008 to about 2012, like it was literally nothing but metal. I was
He's like,
like,
that's where I lived.
I
Just
was
stayed there.
like all about metal, all
His
metal,
fingers
all the
rooted
time.
into the soil,
was
and he just
molded by
lived. Yeah. I was molded by it.
I explored all the various crevices of all the different metal subgenres. Like, I mean, I could talk about some subgenres that are called subgenres when they're discussed, but are actually like two bands. That sort of thing. And eventually it was actually a metal band that showed me the way out.
Oh,
lights.
beautiful. What was that band, David?
They were a band called Ulver.
Oh yeah.
They're a Norwegian band. They started off as black metal, like a mix of black metal and like folk music.
Mhm.
In the 90s, and then at some point, like the singer of the band just, I guess, had enough of metal, and he went for like he basically sent all his other bandmates packing, and he hooked up with some synthesizer keyboardist dude, and they like went in a radically new direction that wasn't even metal at all.
Wow.
It was like electronic music.
He's like, I'm bored. I don't want to do metal anymore. It just goes over to a different genre. That's crazy.
To be fair, he was like in like 3 or 4. He was like the vocalist of like 3 or 4 metal bands at the time.
Oh,
Holy cow.
And
get metal burnout.
And so yeah,
Burnout.
he
You can smell burning metal.
yeah, so he decided to make a change. The other members of the band at the time went their own way, and he brought on a electronic musician, and they radically reshaped Ulver's sound to be like, nothing like metal at all. But then, so I had already known about their metal albums, and then I discovered their non-metal albums, and I was like, whoa, this is like different. But it's still like underground. It's not like pop music.
Yeah.
Because that's why I was into metal. Because it was like, I didn't like pop music. I didn't like mainstream rock.
Katy Perry.
I was like looking for that underground stuff. And so Ulver kind of
contrarian.
Like, they're shifting out of metal into something different that was still underground, was like, whoa, there's a whole new world of underground music out here it's not metal. And so that was kind of my exit from just being like a metal fanatic. And then eventually, I stopped being like, a pretentious idiot, and just became a lot more chill about music.
I think we all go through that though, because I felt the same when I was like a young teen, like mid-teen. Yeah, very pretentious, very like my way or the highway. I'm right all the time, and my taste is the only right way. And then now, like, we're old, David, and we just have to embrace the world as it is.
Dang millennials! Did you guys ever go see anything live?
Not up until this last year or two.
I've gone through a few different shows. I'm not really a big concert goer. I don't like being in crowds of people. So I haven't been to a lot of concerts, but I've been to a few. I saw Adelaide Dying.
Jealous.
They were
Aren't they broken up now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Well,
what you meant.
maybe. I know the lead singer's not part of it anymore
let's
for
see.
reasons.
Yeah, I saw Adelaide Dying, and I saw. Who else did I see that was metal?
See Under Oath.
No, I never saw Under
No.
Oath. I almost saw August Burns Red at
They're still going.
a Christian music festival, but it was like something where we're like, it was at like a theme park, and it was like a weird mix of just like different Christian artists.
At a theme park?
Yeah,
With
it was like,
rides?
yeah, it was like some weird thing. We went there like, it was like when we went there like as part of youth group.
Mm.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I
And it
remember you
was
telling the
like
story, yeah.
yeah, so there was a bunch of different artists playing, but it was also at a theme park, so we had passes for the ride. It was like an all-in-one kind of deal thing that you bought. And yeah, I was not interested in most of who was playing, but I really wanted to see one band, which I did see, whose name I can't remember. And then I also wanted to see August Burns Red, but I made a mistake in my timing and was in the middle of like smack dab in the middle of a long line for a ride when they were supposed to be going on, and I didn't realize it.
No.
So I missed them.
Aw, bummer. Yeah. How about you, Adelaide?
We went to Aftershock 2 years ago.
We're all the millennials.
Yeah, we weren't. I'm
Fester.
also not a fan of like the big crowds and everything, but it was a birthday gift, and there was 3 bands I really wanted to see.
Ooh.
Which I got to. Well, there's 4, but I only got to see 3.
Who'd you
but-
see?
I really want to see Citizen Soldier. He's more of like hard rock.
I think I've listened
So
to some
he
of
was
his
off on a little stage at the very end of the park.
stuff.
And then I wanted to see Falling in Reverse, but oh my god, the crowd was huge. They were like the big headliner there.
Oh, dang.
And people's seats for that were covered most of the park.
Whoa.
And then we were trying to get out, like to leave right when Falling in Reverse was leaving, and people were just camped like right in the middle of all the pathways and stuff because there's nowhere to sit. Like that's how crazy it was.
Dang.
But instead of seeing the beginning of Falling in Reverse, I decided to see Citizen Soldier, just because I love him so much. But
Hmm.
we also saw Nothing More. That was awesome. Skillet. We saw Skillet.
Oh, heck yeah.
They're still going strong.
Yeah, they're still great.
And then
performers.
From Ashes to New, I'm a big fan. We got to see them while we were chilling. So
Did you see your favorite band, Adelaide?
What?
Your favorite metal band?
Which one's that?
The sleepy one?
Oh, they weren't there. They're
Oh,
not
they
going to
weren't
be
there?
there. They're
Oh.
the UK.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, metal's huge in Europe in general. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. He was talking about Norwegian metal. And it makes me wonder if it's like, is it really underground, or is it just because
Maybe it's
people
underground
haven't
US,
ventured,
you know?
like, outside of the US sound? Like, there's Norway is huge with metal. They have a huge scene there. I just discovered a band. Oh, God.
Well, there's a difference between when I say underground, I meant underground, because like there's non-underground metal for sure. There's mainstream metal. At one point, all metal was underground, but that point was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so when I say I was looking for that underground sound, I
You really went there.
I really mean that I was looking for that underground sound. Like I said, I was into finding subgenres that were like 1 or 2 bands
It was a guitar and a sitar.
where
And
people
that was the genre.
where people talked about these bands' sound as if it was a genre, quote unquote,
Mhm.
but it was just like 2 bands or maybe 3 that didn't really have all that even much to do with each other. They just kind of like a sort of a circle of fans, sort of a common circle of fans on the internet seemed to like form around them,
They adopted them.
kind of a thing, you know? So it's just like, that was the kind of stuff I was into. Like I said, I started with like the metalcore stuff, you know, Adelaide Dying, Becoming the Archetype, August Burns Red, Kill Switch Engage, that sort of stuff. But I
What
quickly,
a dope ass name, Kill Switch Engage.
I have 2 of their tracks on my rock list.
That's
but
cool.
I
Cool name.
I dropped them pretty quickly. After I realized that they weren't the underground, that there was
You mean they're popular?
actually a
Throws it.
deeper level of underground. Like I said, I was a pretentious jackass during this time period. So I went deeper underground, down into the 10th sublevel of suicide. That's that's the name of a album by Leviathan,
Okay.
who is a one-man band.
I love what because Ian on our last one we did, the one we had him on with, which was the Four Hipsters episode of the podcast, Four Hipster album, I should say, Hipsters album, Four Hipster albums. There we go. And he had a great explanation for David and your reasoning and who you were in high school. And he basically said, David's always been a contrarian. He's always gone against the flow. And so with that, let's dive into the album. We're talking about Panopticon by ISIS, which is also a pretty dope name. Even in today's standards, I would say.
Till the terrorist.
I'd say even with the terrorist
took
group,
it.
it's still pretty cool. But
Yeah, they actually briefly reformed for some concerts, like I want to say in like a little like 2018, 2019, something like that.
Uh-oh.
But they actually toured under a different name because of the
Yeah,
association.
Yeah, especially around that time.
Sucks because you're
What
like,
a-
let's
what
get
a-
the band back together.
What
Oh.
a time to get them back together, too. That's like peak ISIS terrorists like talk. At that point. So Panopticon, I'm just going to read off the band members real quick from Wikipedia. So just, if I have any inaccuracies, David, correct me. We have Jeff Kazai. How do you pronounce that? With a Z. Caxide. Jeff.
No clue.
Yeah, I don't know. Caxide. Sure, we'll go with that. He was on the bass guitar. Aaron Harris, a much easier pronouncing name. Drums. Michael Gallagher on the guitar. Bryant Clifford Meyer, which is probably Stephanie Meyer's husband. Electronics and guitar. Aaron Turner for vocals, guitar, photography, and design. And they have some other people listed here as well. Matt Bales, Justin Chancellor, Bill Dooley, and Greg Moss. So let's just get into our thoughts real quick about the album, and then we'll dive into track by track. There's only 7 tracks on this album, but we're still, when you listen through it all, it's about 1 hour long. Because each track's about 10-ish minutes, or I think it's 50
The shortest
minutes.
one is like 6.5 or something.
Yeah, I think total, I think it comes to like 40, 50 minutes, something like that. So
I also have a question.
go for
Is
it.
there? I didn't watch the music video.
That's
you
fine.
linked.
Yeah, you
Is
don't
there a
have to.
narrative?
So there is. So I was doing some, well, I can read it here from,
Because I decided not
yeah.
to look anything up and just like judge it based on like what I listened to first.
Mhm.
So I didn't look anything up about like, is there a backstory to what they're trying to get
Yeah,
to?
let me dive into what just this is straight from Wikipedia. So I have it right here. If you guys want to click the link on there, I just have the central meaning of it written here. It's kind of long, but here we go. The album's central concept is that of its namesake, the Panopticon, a form of prison envisioned by utilitarian Jeremy Bentham in 1785. A central observation tower surrounded by windowless cells. Bentham's intention was that the prisoners be placated through the fear of constant surveillance, which he described as, in quotes, a new mode of obtaining power of mind over mind, in a quantity hitherto without example, end quote. While the design did not come to fruition during Bentham's time, it has been seen as an important development. For instance, the design was invoked by Michael Foucault in Discipline and Punish as metaphor for modern disciplinary societies and its pervasive inclination to observe and normalize. Foucault proposes that not only prisons, but all hierarchical structures like the army, the school, the hospital, and the factory have evolved through history to resemble Bentham's Panopticon. And this last bit is kind of, as I read it, is more like editorializing, but it kind of gives a vision of why it could be relevant to today. Continuing on, more recently it has been used to describe the internet. The linear notes also quote technology, writer Howard Rheingold and futurist Alex Steffen, speaking of their concern with the proliferation of surveillance throughout the modern society and how that constitutes a panopticon society. So basically, this is 2004. we're in the Bush era. 9/11 happened. The Patriot Act was passed. Mass surveillance was greenlit for the United States to spy on everybody, as well as the Five Eyes, which include 5 different countries around the world to spy on their citizens and spy on each other's citizens and share information and that kind of thing. And that has been progressively getting more and more complicated and in depth in terms of surveillance as we get into today. So this album, if you go and read about it, is kind of called Panopticon because it sees society through this modern lens of we're actually in a prison, is what I take away from it.
And I don't know how specific they wanted to get with the metaphors, but I did look it up, and while there's no quotes, of like Aaron Turner talking about the concept of the Panopticon directly, he does talk about things like the surveillance state, and I've also found quotes where he's referencing Michael Foucault. So I don't know how strongly they wanted these associations to be there, but they're certainly in there to some degree.
Yeah, I think in an interview he mentioned it, but it's like unclear of how, like you said, how like in depth the meaning is supposed to be with the album, you know?
Well, they probably didn't be specific on purpose so that whoever listens to it can have their own interpretation of where they are in their life and like how they view that too. I mean, that's what punk and metal, well, rock in general is they're always against the machine. So it lines up.
Oh,
except for Rage Against the Machine, who quickly became for the machine.
Yeah, Pfizer sponsored Rage Against the Machine.
But yeah, I would agree that the lyrics in this album are kept intentionally vague. And there's not a lot of them either. They use a very choice selection of words to color your perception of the music just enough, but not intrude any further.
I also feel like they do that to make sure that like you have to pay attention. Like if you're not looking at like Spotify where it's like telling you where you're at in the song and then the lyrics show up, if you're just listening to it, you have to be paying attention in order to be ready to hear those lyrics because they're few and far between. So maybe they want to do that, be more impactful. I think I agree with you on that too.
And that's kind of like a hallmark of ambient music in general, is that it's sort of designed to not to be minimalistic, but also give you more the more you pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. So it kind of like meets you at the level where you're at, because this album is great if you just want some background music to just wash over you passively and you don't really want to pay attention to it. It's great for that.
Right.
But if you actually take the time to pay attention to it, there's some depth in here that you can extract from it. So yeah, I think it's just kind of a function of ambient music going back all the way to the beginning of the genre, because that's kind of like Brian Eno, who is one of the like godfathers of ambient music back in like the 70s, basically said that he wanted to make music that was kind of met you at whatever level of attention you were willing to invest in it at the moment.
It didn't demand your attention. It's just there.
In the background.
In the ether.
Yeah, I know. When you don't want to pay attention to it, it's really resonating with me, David, especially when you're playing it in the living room and I'm walking by and I don't want to pay attention. I'm joking. It's actually probably one of the most more pleasant experiences overall compared to what of other stuff I've heard you listen to. As a non-metal fan, just totally ignorant to the genre and no real knowledge of it at all. But hearing the loud heaviness of the music.
Yeah, I wanted
this
more
one's
heavy.
more, I think it's more palpable. The ambience really, I was digging in this. So yeah, I think let's just get into it. What do you guys think?
Sure.
All right, track 1. So Did We. David, let's start with you. What did you think of the track So Did We?
So this track, I love just how it just bam. It doesn't
That's my
like
notes,
Yeah,
too.
it just hits you.
I wrote boom.
it just starts.
He wrote bam, I wrote boom.
And I wrote Half-Life 2, but we'll
Yeah.
get to that.
And then, so I love how it hits you full force right from the beginning. And then after the initial wave, you get this nice little breakdown that builds up to a cool clean vocal section. And then I also really like the keyboards in it. Like, they're very minimalist, but they like sort of ebb and flow. They make themselves known more or less depending on the part of the song that they're in. So it's kind of cool. It's very minimalist, but very well constructed.
Mm.
And I think this is one of the standout tracks for me, just because it's so focused and so powerful, despite being like chillaxed and ambient at the same time.
Yeah, I like how it boom, like you guys said, and bam, it's just there. And something it really reminded me of is kind of the ambient. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, but it sounds somewhat industrial to the sound mix or something like that. Like the industrial sound, like I would compare it to something like if I'm playing Half-Life 2, I feel like I would hear this in like one of the driving sections or action focused sections where it's like just hitting and you're listening to this more industrial soundtrack. If you go and listen to the soundtrack of Half-Life, it's very short tracks, few and far between, and not everything sounds like this specific track, So Did We, but it really gave me that vibe a lot. And yeah, I love just the guitar in this one. The drums are a little, I guess, muted compared to some of the other tracks. Like I didn't notice the drums really heavily until we get to, like say in Fiction and Will's Dissolve and stuff like that. But I really liked this track, and it is, like you said, I think I agree with you. It's like one of the standout ones of the album. But yeah, I don't know why. It just reminds me of Half-Life 2. Not Half-Life 1. Half-Life 1's a little different. Half-Life 2 is very more industrial and more like very ambient focused. And so I guess that's why it reminds me of some video games I'll be mentioning here. But what do you think, Ad?
That's another thing I wanted to ask you guys. I know you don't have it, but I don't know, like, can you imagine like stuff in your head, like pictures and stuff when you listen to music, or no?
I don't have imagination is what you're telling me?
No, I said I know you have
Oh, I
it.
know.
Or,
Okay.
I mean, so I was thinking of the word aphantasia, where you can't imagine anything. Like you just hear stuff and you can't imagine like a picture in your head, which I feel so sad when I hear people have that, because like that's all I have is like I see things when I hear music.
Well, David, is she about to feel sad right now?
No, I see things.
Okay. I'm not going to be sad. I see things.
I see things.
I see dead people.
I see things.
Okay,
I hear
I'm not
things.
going to be sad then. I'm glad you see things when you listen to music. Because it hit me. I was like, I'm like, listen to this. I'm like, this is on the ambient side. What if someone who had aphantasia listened to this? Like, what do they think if there's no vocals to kind of guide you because they can't imagine stuff in their head? So
I'm probably not a fan of this music.
Probably not. That makes me sad.
Yeah, this another thing with this is I like this track kind of brings into focus how well, like, the very intentional use of the vocals. Like, the lyrics are few and far in between, but what is there is very evocative.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can easily get some great imagery from reading the lyrics on this album, but there's not a lot of it. It's just enough to prod your brain just a little bit, but then you got to take it from there.
You only get one morsel. And that's it.
Oh, it is
per song.
It is pretty much an hour long. I thought I was wrong. Yeah, it's about an hour long.
Other than that, I was just curious about that because I was like, I wonder if David has aphantasia. That would be super sad, but I'm glad
He's
you
our
don't.
worship leader. I hope not.
Well, that wouldn't change anything. But what did I write in here?
Aphantasia doesn't exist. Those people are just retarded. All right, continuing on.
Hot
Sorry,
takes from Jake.
what else did you got on this album, Adelaide?
I wrote down my first thoughts. I listened to it again today, and listening to it a second time, it was so much more. I don't know. Maybe it's just because like.
Well, you knew what you were expecting.
Well, yeah, I knew kind of what I was expecting, but I could see something different, or I can feel something different going through it a second time, as opposed to like the first time not knowing what I was getting into and being like, whoa, like this is crazy. I was listening to it in my bed like at night, like, whoa.
This is something to go to sleep to, I'll tell you that.
I wrote that I'm kind of sad that like there's not harder sounds in here, because I'm a huge fan of like the hard, crunchy, I wrote down confident distortion of the sound that makes the guitar sound hard, because I like that hard growl of the guitar. Like, that's what I'm a huge fan of. I like vocals too, but if you can have a whole song that's like just a guitar going crazy, like someone showing off their skills, I'm like huge of that. But there's not a lot of that in any of these tracks. Like, I feel like each song has a moment. And I wrote down in a couple of the tracks where that moment happens, like the minute and the second it happens. So it's interesting how like I was keeping an eye out for that, or ear out for that. So yeah, I enjoy the guitar. I like when it gets, I didn't write when it gets hard on the first one, but it's very softer, airy. I wrote ambient guitar. The drums are really forward, especially toward the end. Like those drums go crazy.
The mic was looking at your
At
cheek
your
for
eye.
a second, at the side of your eye.
Oh no.
So
I was getting animated. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, I'm reading the lyrics right here just through Spotify, and it's funny. It says like, I'll just read it out. It says, "Our skin worn thin, our bones exposed, life reduced to ticks." And then the next section of lyrics for the first song here, "So Did We," it says here, it continues, "From forest caves and azure skies, we crashed upon this earth. The years they pass, and so did we. But resistance would be brought." Man, that sounds biblical right there.
I think
Sounds
it's
like talking about the
interesting-
angels.
You said industrial.
Yeah.
And one of the first notes I wrote down was, this sounds like it could be put to a montage of someone building something. So like that would go with
Oh, the
industrial.
builder.
No, like building a building, or maybe in this case slaves, like
Well, like that cool 90s look
Slaves
in
in
Chicago.
ISIS building the pyramids.
Oh,
That's
shit.
what this soundtrack
Oh,
is.
shit, that's what they're talking about.
We found the connection.
The Nephilim.
No, I'm joking.
Okay, anyway. Anything else for this track? for you guys?
I don't have anything else. It is, if you go to their Spotify page, I don't know if well, you have Spotify. If you go to their Spotify page, it's the top, like the most popular one out of all their songs. So, food for thought.
Slaps. All right, guys, let's get to Backlit. Adelaide, let's just continue on with you. What did you think of this second track?
I think listening to the album a second time today, I think this was my favorite track of the album, just because it sounds hopeful. Like the ambientness and the atmospheric. It sounds, what did I write down? I imagine a ship ascending out of the atmosphere into a nebula, like almost like an escape. So maybe that ties in with like the, what'd you call it? A
Panopticon.
Panopticon. If the Panopticon's a prison, maybe someone is dreaming of leaving, or someone actually got out.
Yeah, especially as we get to the latter half of this album, it feels very ethereal, especially the very final track. Like, and I have some notes on that, but we'll get to it. But yeah, Backlit's interesting. I love the seamlessness of listening to this. Like, I know it's because of the ambience. Like, it carries well through and carries over into each track very well. But I really appreciate it. I like the flow of it all. This track actually, this one, I think the next one as well, but it reminds me of Halo Infinite soundtrack, which is really funny because after listening to this, dude, all the artists, and it's a mess, but there are several artists that did tracks for Halo Infinite back when it came out for the multiplayer and single player. There's a ton of post-metal sounds in that soundtrack, and they go hard. And it makes me want to listen to that. But you could tell they were probably inspired by the genre for sure. Because there's so much, like the main music. If you download Halo Infinite for free right now, and you boot up the main menu as you're making your account, as you're logging in, as you're creating your Spartan, as you're loading into the match, the cymbals, the metal, everything that kind of forms together really feels like this track specifically. It also kind of reminds me of like a cyberpunk futuristic kind of setting, I guess. So pretty groovy.
Yeah, I thought
track.
very spacey.
Yeah, spacey. Except not the Kevin Spacey.
No, not Kevin.
No.
What do you got for us, David?
Yeah, I like how this kind of has the opposite vibe of the second one. It's like it starts soft and then builds up. I like how the vibe is overall peaceful, but it's not like happy or triumphant sounding. There's like some
melancholy.
Yeah, there's some melancholy to it, but at the same time, it's not necessarily dark sounding.
Yeah.
It's cool how they kind of there's some tension there.
It's almost like waves, like a audio wave format. Like it goes up and down, but it's like each track has a crescendo at some point, and then quiets down and leads into the next one, I would say. And it's almost like a story with each track, I would say, as you listen to it, whatever the story may be in your mind.
Yeah, and then let's see, what else did I write? The middle breakdown where it like, so right after the clean vocals start, and then it drops down to that little like bass, the bass line with the little like ethereal keyboards on top of it, and then it builds up to the final riff. I just love that part of it. Like it's just
that final riff.
Like that really like that middle breakdown part, that really actually reminds me of like a video game soundtrack. Like I could imagine like playing Halo or Half-Life or some kind of sci-fi shooter game with that music going on.
If only there was a little bits, Adelaide, of a boop, 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 and you can get this Mass Effect feeling of it.
It might work with this. It might not.
Yeah. Also, the lyrics kind of keep going along with this whole angel thing I've pictured in my mind. There's a line that says, "Thousands of eyes, gaze never ceases. The light is upon you, life in you ceases." It's like, whoa, it's talking about biblically accurate angels, man, with all them eyes, bro.
Them eyes.
Damn right. But that's all I really got for Backlit. Interesting track. I like it. All right. Well, I guess we'll get to the next one. Adelaide, what's the name of this title? Track 3.
Track 3.
In Fiction.
It's called In Fiction. I wasn't a huge fan of this track, but I did write, I appreciate the heavy drop at 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Then again at 7 minutes and 8 seconds. Because that's what really stood out to me. Is like, it's so funny. Every time there was a drop where it got heavy, because I'd be just kind of drifting, kind of aimlessly listening. That drop happens. Oh, yeah, this is my jam. And then it goes away. It's like, oh, it's not. Then at 7 minutes, 8 seconds, oh, yeah, my jam's back. So that was my movements while listening to this.
Yeah, definitely some psychedelic lighting could be of much use while listening to this.
Just like the
this track.
heavier, the sounds that feel like they actually punch you in the face. Like, I just love that. I want to feel my face melting off.
Well, on a side note then, if you want to listen to some great post-metal, you should check out, and fans of this podcast who might want to take a walk on the wild side, check out Given to the Rising by Neurosis.
Oh, it's a Neurosis.
Yeah, Given to the Rising by Neurosis has to be, I think, my favorite post-metal album of all time.
That's not the other one you gave me, right?
No, that is not the other one.
Okay, because I have notes about that too.
Because I wasn't gonna try to have a podcast about that album, because that album, all it does is punch you in the face.
Kind of.
No, not.
Oh, not the one you showed me.
No, yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay, I'm looking at the other one right now.
No, the other one, because Adelaide chose the album that we were going to listen to between two. So both of those albums have like this soft, loud dynamic, and I wanted to have that because I wanted to be nice to Jake.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Okay,
David.
but
Thank you.
You gotta be nice to Jake.
But since you're talking about how much you love the sounds that punch you in the face, you should look up their, I think it was released in 2007. It's called Given to the Rising.
Okay.
And it basically, all it does is punch you in the face.
Okay, I'm gonna add that to my
Given
library
to
right
the Rising,
now.
and you're
And
spot on, 2007.
Because that other one, I tell you, I was like, what is it? What am I listening to right now, David?
So that album that you were listening to,
Yes.
that was the birth of the genre.
Okay.
Oh,
That was
I
the
was
birth.
not a fan of his vocals.
That was the birth of the genre.
You want to hear my quick note about his vocals?
Sure, why not?
I know it's experimental and progressive. I didn't know it was the beginning of a genre, but I wrote, he sounded like he was an adult man trying to sound like a whining teenager to appeal to a younger crowd, and it gave me the impression that he was trying to act younger than he really was, and it turned me off.
I don't
apologize.
know what you were listening to because that literally
Maybe it was his microphone.
that
because
literally does not describe this band at all in any form or fashion.
I'm gonna have to listen to the other one because I like being punched in the face. I feel like the first one I listened to, I was like, this is not.
Yeah,
it.
David, the Neurosis album you recommended to me was A Sun That Never Sleeps, I believe.
The Sun That Never
red
Sets.
cover.
Oh, sorry, Sets. Sorry, I'm blind.
Yeah.
Sun That Never
The red
Sets.
cover.
That one again, that I wanted to talk about that one because again it's the birth of the post-metal genre, and also because there's a lot of different things happening in that album as opposed to it just punching you in the face the whole time.
Yeah.
I knew Jake would not appreciate
probably
an
not.
album where it just punches you in the face the whole time. But as far as my personal taste for post-metal in general, yeah, Given to the Rising by Neurosis, like one of the greatest metal albums
peak.
ever made, in my opinion.
All right, I'm gonna have to listen to it now.
But
we were on track 3.
Does
right?
it stay in fiction though, David?
Does it say in fiction?
Yeah.
Good segue, Jake.
What did you think of this track, David?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like the lyrics, especially the clean part, and also like how it builds up not by adding things, but just by bringing things that were already there into focus. Like it starts off with the only thing that's in focus in the track when it starts off is just a very soft one, like clean lead guitar line, but in the background you can hear the heavy riffs in there. Like you can hear like you can hear the sound of like strumming, and you can hear little bits of distortion, but it's way in the background. And so it's kind of cool how all the elements are there, but it just like it builds it up by bringing each element one by one into the foreground. So, but yeah.
Really highlights that the first time listening to this album, you're like, were they just kind of like experimenting with sound? Did they have a direction in their wherever they recorded? So that was like my first thought going in. And then the second time listening to it, and especially when you brought it up just then, I was like, you can tell there's control there and there's purpose. But I didn't get it the first time I listened to it. To me, it was like, I wonder what direction they're going in. But I have arrived.
Yeah, I think what it said in the Wikipedia I was reading, it said that I think it was, what's his face? I think it was Turner. It was Aaron. They were talking to him, and he was saying that when they were creating this album, they didn't really have a goal, but they all went off separately, the band members, to jam by themselves and come up with some stuff, and then they all would come together
Oh, dang.
and then play it individually to see what they liked, and then they added and took away and kind of formed the music and the sound of the whole album with that process. So, which I'm sure plenty of bands do, but I thought it was interesting just kind of hearing the development of it. So, I like this track. I think the lyrics kind of keep going along this whole biblical angle for me, at least. I guess that's just how I'm wired. But man, listen to this. Man, I bet you this is what Enoch was listening to when he was walking with God, or maybe this is what God was playing to John when showing him all the Revelation visions, you know?
It's holy music?
Who knows? But it was, man, God's got good taste, I think. So it's pretty cool. I like it. You could tell, I think, in this track, though, that a lot of sounds I hear, and whether it's post-punk or post-metal music, comes from, I think, this album. This was the track that kind of made me it stood out to me. I don't know if post-punk's the correct term, but definitely post-metal. But I feel like I've heard stuff similar to this track in other things, whether it be movies, games, other art, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing is post-metal is a very small, isolated genre, but other artists have come to similar sounds just by way of similar influences, because post-rock itself is not music that most people are into, but it did spawn a lot of people who made music for movies or television shows or what have you were very influenced by post-rock as well.
You know what, Ed? I think this, you know what this reminds me of is kind of like your big crusade during your teenage years and then into your 20s, when I was coming along listening to whatever you were listening to, and you were listening to like a bunch of epic music, like Two Steps from Hell and Audio Machine.
Yeah.
I feel like those kind of artists and compositions borrow some stuff from post metal, come to think of it, especially after listening to this album.
Well, like I always say,
Like movie trailer music.
creation begats creation. And like I'm a big believer that the spirit of God's creation that created the earth is alive and living in us, and that we tap into it in different ways. And so it makes sense that if someone makes something, then someone else hears it or watches it and is influenced by it. I remember like a big thing like growing up was like they copied it. They're copying. There's no creativity left in the world. But it's like they didn't copy it. They were inspired by something they experienced, and then they turned it into something that speaks to them personally, and then that thing goes off and it influences someone else.
Yeah, they were inspired to rip it off. No.
But creation begats creation.
Yeah.
It's still living in us. So
Yeah, and a totally different example. I mean, you see Quentin Tarantino, he's heavily inspired from a bunch of stuff in the 70s and a bunch of kung fu classics from the 60s and stuff like that. That's what he grew up with. And so he really hones in and makes a lot of his films like those that he grew up with. So, and everybody's pretty much like that, I would say, to a certain extent.
And this is kind of the reason why I picked this album and the other one as to be like our post-metal or our metal peak analysis, is because despite post-metal being very small, self-contained genre, it draws from places that a lot of other people have drawn from in different ways. So it's an album that you can hear sounds even if you're not familiar with the genre. You can hear sounds that you've heard before. Mm-hmm. They're just recontextualized here in a different way because the chain of influence is a little bit different. Yeah. Like, the chain of influence from like film music to like post-rock to whatever else, is different than the chain of influence from post-rock to this. But at the same time, there's still sounds that could end up in different places. The same sounds or similar sounds arising in different places at once because of the way creativity sort of propagates itself.
Yeah, it's really fascinating thinking about it.
Let's proceed to track 4. David, Wills Dissolve. What do you think of track 4?
Let's see. What did I write? I like the intro. It's kind of like trippy sounding.
Yeah.
It's a little psychedelic in a way, which is, as despite this album being washed out, it doesn't sound like being washed out and ambient and all that. It doesn't sound like psychedelic. It doesn't sound like it was influenced by like, 60s bands tripping on acid.
Yeah.
But this part does have a little bit of that psychedelic sort of the intro to this, to me at least, had a little bit of that psychedelic sort of like whoa kind of trippy sound, which it was cool. And then the vocals in this, it was like they were clean vocals, but they were like they gave me like this impression that they were like tortured, almost like someone was like screaming into the void. Even though they weren't like the growls, they were the quote unquote clean vocals, but they still sounded like strained and tortured and dark all the same. It's kind of cool.
What do we got, Ad?
I wrote, this is the heaviest track in the album. So I think like at first it was my favorite one, but then I listened to the second one again and I was like, oh, I think I like that one more. But I do love how heavy this one is, or consistently heavy, I guess. The heavy drops at 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
I love how you wrote all that down. The time.
That's when I got excited. I was like, oh
yeah. I think I did that for a couple of our peak analysis albums. So yeah.
The only other thing I wrote in here was that like this is the only track on the album I feel like would be suitable for like a fight scene. Or like following someone's journey. I don't know, like a gladiator going from fight to fight to fight. You're following his journey and he's just stuck in this cycle of needing to survive in order for the benefit of others. That's the only other comment I wrote.
Yeah, for me, I like how it starts real quiet and then it builds up. But that's how most, I guess, the tracks are. I think what my notes are kind of referring to everything here, because at this point I'm like, oh yeah, it's kind of cool how things start quiet and then keep going, except for that first one. This is past Jake, but anyway, so I think I like how you put it, David, where it's kind of, yes, there's distortion, but it's not overly. Is it used? Is that kind of what you were kind of getting to? Like, it's more clear, is what you're trying to say.
Well, I was kind of talking about like the vocals specifically.
The vocals, okay,
like
gotcha,
where he
yeah.
was singing,
Yeah,
but because there's
compared
there's
to the
a
other
difference.
tracks for sure.
Yeah, there's a difference between because Aaron Turner, the vocalist, he both sings and he does like growls in this album. And so this one I was referring to was singing because it had pitch, but it was like, but like despite it being quote unquote clean vocals, as they call them in metal, like they sounded very tortured, very strained.
There's so many, like, I think I mentioned it yesterday. Like, there's when talking about like what's really metal or not, I don't even know why that's a discussion, because you can't really call something metal and expect it all to sound the same, because it's branched off in so many subgenres and subgenres that it's not even, if you say something's metal, I think some people might expect screaming or the growls and stuff like that, but that's not necessarily the case. Like, not all metal sounds like that. What are you writing?
I'm sorry, I just had a come to Jesus moment about the taco food commercial this year. Continue.
Oh, okay, all right. He's inspired in the moment. But it's interesting you said clean, and I feel like there's a group of, they would call themselves purists, who think that any song with cleans in it is not metal, period. And I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Is there people like that?
I see it in comments on Instagram. I don't engage, but
I'm gonna put myself out on a limb here and sound like a pretentious idiot for just a little bit.
Please.
So indulge me.
Ready.
I'm pretty knowledgeable about metal and its various subgenres. So, yeah, somebody saying that is, to me, just, they're a poser.
I think they are. It's either a very young person who thinks,
probably.
who, like we were when we were young teenagers, pretentious idiots, or it's some old geezer who can't walk anymore in a wheelchair and is still trying to relive the late 70s, early 80s.
See, I'm an old geezer at heart.
But you're not a pretentious idiot anymore, David.
Oh yes,
Well, there's different levels. You know, you've graduated. You've graduated.
Yeah, I'm definitely an old geezer, but like, it's just so weird to me that somebody would say that, because that's like the most uneducated take on metal you could possibly have.
I agree. I just think people want to think they know what.
See, gatekeeping is good. People say people say gatekeeping is bad.
No.
Gatekeeping is good.
Kick those
And
posers
yeah,
outta
people
here.
like that need to be
Shoveled away.
Need
That
to be,
I do
they
agree
need
with.
to have their metalhead license revoked.
You are no longer a metalhead.
Metalhead.
Have Jack Black remove it from them personally.
I like, speaking of clear, I like how clear a lot of the, I don't know why it stood out to me. Again, I'm super ignorant on music knowledge and music theory. I couldn't tell you what it was called, a guitar or bass, I couldn't tell you. But I feel like in this track, things were more clear. I think the instruments came out more clearly. Specifically, I could be wrong. I think it's this or the next one where the drums really popped out to me. But I think also, I feel like the lyrics were, speaking of posers, I'm a poser. I feel like the lyrics, especially toward the end, were hard to listen to, but they are clearer than the other tracks, I guess. So, but compared to other metal band albums that I've heard, like just here and there throughout the years, I feel like those kind of bands like take the distortion and turn it up to 11, you know, kind of get that real grunginess. But for this, I like how much more clear, like there's some distortion, but it's not like heavily handed, I would say. So.
And then Adelaide's over here like, I wish it was more heavy-handed.
David can read my mind.
I want to feel the grit on my
I want to
ears.
feel it in my bones.
Feel it in my bones. Speaking of bones, let's move to the next track called Syndic Calls. I got to be careful how I pronounce that.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is, yeah.
All right, let's go with that. But Adelaide, what do we got for track 5?
I didn't have a lot of comments on this one because this is one of the longer tracks in the album. It's 9.5 minutes. And I feel like a lot of it, at least to me, sounds the same for such a long time that I think the point of it is to kind of have you not look at the time. Like if it sounds similar or if there's a certain movement that lasts longer than other movements in the song, I'm assuming their point was so that you get lost in just kind of the repetition of it. Because there's a lot of repetition here. And I was just like, okay, when's it going to change? Maybe it's just because I was expecting something a little heavier. But the lyrics in this one are pretty badass. I like the rise in the morning air, you're greeted by cinders of the dead. I was like, ooh, that's pretty hardcore. That's pretty cool. Other than that, I didn't really have a lot of comments in this one, just that it was a lot of the same sounds.
It's really
compared
funny.
to other tracks. Why?
It's really funny that you say that because one of my notes is I wish it would have gone on longer.
9.5 just isn't long enough.
Because this track ends too abruptly for me. Like it goes on for its length, but then like it just cuts off.
Do you feel like there's no like climax?
Well,
like it just stays the same?
Well, like there's a climax, but there's no like come down from that. There needs to be kind of like okay, we've hit our peak and now let's gently land the plane.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
Like in our next one we'll talk about here, but that one does a really good job of building up, having kind of basically a story, and then ending and crescendoing.
Yeah, so I wish this one would have gone on longer so it could have landed the plane a little bit.
For sure.
Well, I wonder, we know they're purposefully doing that on purpose, but I think it's because a lot of these songs like transition into the next. So I'm wondering if this one's supposed to be just like a part 1 and then Altered Course is like part 2 of that.
Maybe, but there's a pretty defined break between the two. So, which is not the case. There's other places where one track flows seamlessly into the next.
Yeah, I feel like with this one, this was actually my favorite track of the album. I feel like, again, it goes back to the Half-Life 2 example. It feels like I'm playing Half-Life and I'm being chased by the Combine, shooting the grenade launcher, swapping to the gravity gun and my crowbar, and this is just playing. And I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And I just love I just love this track a lot. This and So Did We were my top tracks as we got to this point in the album.
Yeah, I really, really like this track up to that point because
it does stop.
Yeah, because so I love the rhythm guitars in this. Like it was cool how they were they were driving the song forward, but they still have this kind of like melancholic sort of introspective vibe to them. So it was kind of like both driving and ethereal at the same time. It was cool. And yeah, I was just like, yeah. And then the crescendo happened. I was like, yeah. And then it just ended. I was like, oh.
Sad.
Let's get to. Do you have anything else on there?
No.
Okay, let's get to Altered Course. Real funny story, real quick though. That you made me this. You saying how abruptly this stops reminds me of a time. It was one night I was listening to I think Whispers in the Dark by Skillet, and I was kind of like moody. I was in my teen years, and I was driving my bike down the lane of the field, on the property, and. We don't usually take our bikes down there because there's a ton of bumps from the trucks, but I would do that and I was like riding the smooth parts and it was like full moon out. So it was like pretty well lit and I was listening to my CD player and then I'm like, Whispers in the Dark, looking at the moon. I'm like, yeah, this is dope ass. And then I hit one of the bumps and I flip over and I land and I on my back in the field in the grass and just like all my earbuds flew out of my ear.
I thought you were just saying they were still in your ear. You're just like, the music's still going.
I'm pretty sure they flew out because I'm like laying there like, oh, I think I'm going to go home now. Drive.
I'm not moody anymore.
Yeah, I'm not moody anymore. All right, I sobered up from the melancholiness of what I was going for. But anyway, Altered Course, Adelaide, track 6, Altered Course. What did we
I wrote down, it sounds like a bad dream.
Yes.
I feel like if we're talking about like it's not even melancholy, this is just dark. Yeah. This one's just like straight up dark. So I wrote, sounds like a bad dream. I don't like the feeling of being in this one. Made me feel like I was petting a cat's fur the wrong way. Not the right way. So that's what I got on this
Maybe
one.
that's what they wanted you to feel.
Yeah.
Well, then they were successful.
Yeah, what did you get?
I've kind of just an aside, but like I feel like that's why I went so deep in the underground and metal, because I was actually looking for the most unpleasant listening experiences at one point.
I think a lot of people do that too because they want to feel something. They're like, I just want to feel something. Like none of this up pop music on the mainstream is satisfying me.
Yeah, I didn't. There was definitely a time in a subset of my metalhead years where I didn't want to be uplifted at all. I was like, what can I find that's just thoroughly unpleasant to hear?
Drag me to hell.
And just like, what is going to assault my eardrums in the worst way possible? And some of the music I even still actually like.
Yeah.
But,
For this one, the drums really stood out to me in this one. This was the track I was talking about earlier. But like that alien screeching you hear in the latter half of this track, like it reminded me of, again, video games. It reminded me of Dead Space. And I really like how listening to this song, I feel like this could have been the one they chose for the music video. Because I feel like this one, like you said, it feels like a bad dream, feels like a story. That's what they did with the In Fiction music video. It was like this chick being chased by a bunch of people in like dark garages and parking garages and whatnot. And she
places they can film for free.
Exactly. And it's very moody and weird and almost like a slideshow at periods of time with weird transitions. People standing there and then not standing there and disappearing.
I'm gonna have to watch it because I didn't get a chance
It's
to watch
weird.
it.
It's like it's not really worth your time, but I just thought it was interesting. But I feel like this was the song they should have used because this felt to me like the example of Panopticon, like the prison. Like this felt like somebody's escaping a prison and they're escaping, but they get caught right before they're about to get out. But then they realize it was hopeless at the start. They could never get out. And then they're like sedated. And then the abrupt end happens.
That's funny because I've had nightmares like that where you're getting chased.
Exactly.
And then like you don't make it out. You get caught and you're going back to wherever they're taking you. Like,
yeah, I feel like the theme of, Panopticon I really interpreted it best from this track, I guess you'd say. But overall, good track.
Yeah. My thoughts on this were mostly just, this one really highlighted me how well they did with the production. Because it's like, it sounds ambient, ethereal, washed out, but also like there's a clarity there. You can, if you pay attention, you can make out the individual layers. Whereas like some ambient music and some music that has ambient elements that isn't like U2 is a good example. They're not ambient music, but their music has ambient elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you listen to something like that and it's like every sound, every layer becomes one giant mass of sound that you can't distinguish. This is really interesting because it's ambient, but it doesn't do that. Like you can distinguish the individual layers, which I think is cool. And I also, it showcases how ambient music, when it's done right, can be just background music, or it can also be music that you intently pay attention to.
Right. Gosh, what was I gonna say? Structure. Because I think, I wrote down in one of my notes, like of just general thoughts of the album, is that it being ambient, atmospheric, kind of ethereal style, mixed in with heavy metal elements. My comment earlier of like, okay, where are they going with this? Is there structure at all? Yeah, this one definitely has structure for sure. Like you said, you can hear the layers, you can hear each section and the sound of each instrument. So maybe this is the track that gets closest to just like traditional metal. Kind of. It's still experimental, but I don't know. Like it's more recognizable to stuff that I'm more familiar with, even though I wasn't a fan of this track. So, food for thought.
All right. Well, let's get to track 7, the final track of Panopticon. Grinning Mouths. Adelaide,
Ooh.
take it away.
Again, I feel like I kind of had the same feeling about this one as I did the one before it. And I think maybe that's supposed to be the purpose, is that it somewhat transitions into this finale of the, I almost feel like, I don't know if we're going like for the angle of like being in a prison or being in some kind of incarceration of so whether it be the mind or physical or whatever. Is there a way out? Like, does this final track offer that? Like, for me, I felt like there wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know if there is supposed to be a way out. I think this album's supposed to be more just a commentary on how things are.
The presentness of it. There's not
It's not really like, here's what we should do instead. It's more like, here's what's going on.
Right.
And this track, I think, for me, actually, I think this one embodies the album name for me, because it's like the vibe of the whole track. Plus, then you have the lyrics, like, really give you this impression of like there's these dark forces and they're watching you.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of the lyrics. They put a really gross image in your head. Like,
yeah. The lull of the, let's see, what does it say? I have it right here. It says, tongues lull in anticipation, you know? You are
Drool.
awake in their darker visions, like drool slips from grinning mouths.
yeah,
like,
I was not a fan of that.
For me, this kind of felt like a continuation of the last song, I guess, in the story in my mind, where, yeah, it ends and you're sedated. Like, you try to escape, but you to no avail. And then this one, you wake up, but your mind's altered. Like, you're grinning, but there's nothing behind your eyes, you know? Like, you're a helpless, obedient servant to whatever is empowering, whatever is in power above you, basically.
Yeah.
It kind of, I don't know, that's just the feeling for me. And then looking at the lyrics, it kind of confirmed that. But yeah, I think I like this track. It's not like the best one, but it does like it feels like there is no hope, I think, when you listen to it. But I think that's the kind of the purpose of it. I may not be a fan of that, but I think it's kind of cool with the direction they're going with this kind of crescendoing of this album.
Yeah, I think this was intentional, because this is the idea of what a panopticon is.
Yeah.
You know, a prison, not just a prison for the body, but a prison for the soul, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, this isn't my favorite track, but it definitely fits the theme of the album, I think, better than the other ones do.
For sure.
And then I also like the way it ends, because like it ends abruptly, but it like ends with a bang. Like the other one, Syndic Calls, just kind of like cuts off. But this one, like this one actually goes out with a giant, big old crescendo. And so I think it's kind of interesting how like the album, such a chill ambient album, is bookended by just bam.
Yeah. Boom at the beginning and boom at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, a good beginning and a good end. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Any final thoughts on the last one? The last track there?
No.
No, all right. That's deep for me, I think, as well. I will say, going back to, again, video games, this album specifically feels like maybe not exactly Half-Life 2, but definitely Black Mesa, which is like the remake of the first Half-Life. Like, if you play Black Mesa, a lot of what you hear in this can be found in Black Mesa, I feel like, especially more action-y in terms of that kind of thing. But man, yeah, like the aliens and the Vortigons, ooh, gets me excited, makes me want to play it. But what is our favorite tracks? I have here listed Wills Dissolve, Syndic Calls, which I think is my favorite, and then So Did We as my like 3, I guess, I picked. What about you guys?
I think I'd have to go. Yeah, Will's Dissolve is definitely in like maybe the top 3. I'd maybe Backlit as my 1, Will's Dissolve as my 2, and then the first one as my 3rd one.
How about you, David?
I think, yeah, I don't know.
The whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite, but I think So Did We and Backlit would be my my standouts from this.
I had a question. Was this the album you were talking about where they had oh no, I think I'm thinking about Led Zeppelin, but where they released a single in quotes, but it wasn't released by itself. It was just with the album. Like it wasn't released separately.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the Led Zeppelin one.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. Okay, that was it. Yeah.
That was received a lot of radio airplay despite not being released as a single.
That was it. Okay. Yeah. Well, I thought with The music video.
I think I think they released So Did We as a single.
Okay, yeah. That was okay.
But I'm not sure.
That might explain why it's the #1 song on their Spotify page. Like it's the most listened to. Because if it's a single, it's going to circulate more, I feel like, than people buying the whole album.
Yeah, that could be. There also is a music video for So Did We. I haven't watched it, but there is one out there. It was on YouTube, and like the usually 12-year-old, 12, 15-year-old music videos on YouTube of like underground artists are not the best quality. So
I said, they got to find places to film for free. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, like the sound quality.
Oh, gotcha.
Like the video will be in like really low resolution, and the sound will be heavily compressed. And it's like I just rather listen to the newer upload of just the song itself, because like A Sun That Never Sets has one song on it that I really, really love. It's the title track, actually. And the music video is so cool. It's got this weird, trippy, like there's blood flowing through veins around the band members kind of thing going on with it, the way they filmed it. But it's like really sad because it's only in
360p.
Yeah, literally the only way you can find the music video is it's in low resolution. It's like you can see the crappy video compression in it. You can hear the crappy YouTube compression from the old days of YouTube.
Yeah, that early YouTube compression.
And it's like, man, that they really need to remaster that music video.
Now, did they have a record label, or were they independent? Because they're so underground. Like,
well, the thing with Neurosis is they actually formed their own record label. So they release their albums on Neurot Recordings, and which is really interesting because they, through just sheer force of word of mouth, basically, they became a underground sensation to the point where there actually are now other bands released on Neurot Recordings.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, it just started off as they wanted to release their music themselves, so they created their own record label.
It's also business smart too. I mean, like you said, they got other bands that are helping out now.
Yeah, but that was back in the day when like the only way to really circulate that was to go to scenes and be like, "Here's a demo," and like hand out physical copies of it. But
here's a CD, man. Nowadays, at least.
We had a guy trying to do that at my work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he like ordered or whatever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is here. It's free. It's a demo of the first 3 songs. I'm trying to become a rapper." And I was like,
"Oh man,
okay,
what's his name? Yosef at all?"
I don't know.
Well,
they're SoundCloud, man. They're SoundCloud.
Yeah. There's a guy I not work with, but who I've worked with before. He's like, "Oh yeah, check out my YouTube." He's got like 3.
It's sad though, because like maybe that's something a passion they've been wanting to do.
Oh yeah, you can tell they're passionate about it. But
I think there's a certain way of going about things, though. Yeah,
you don't want to do that at a business establishment like that. That's probably not kosher.
I think people get the impression at my work of like, "Oh, you were so nice to me." They'll want to take my CD,
they'll want
right?
to take a listen to my weird ass rap songs. So, but anyway, David. So in terms of ISIS, not the terrorist group, what albums would you also recommend along with this guy? Because you would probably recommend this first as an introductory, is my guess.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of their most essential work. And then the one before this, I think it's Oceanic.
Yeah, Oceanic. Yeah.
Is kind of like the precursor to this.
The pre-metal to the post-metal.
I would recommend that as well. And then their last album, Wavering Radiant, is cool too.
Oh, interesting. Waving.
But I would ISIS is a cool band. I enjoy their music a lot, and I would definitely recommend that people dive into it and also dive into other post-metal bands out there.
You got Neurosis.
Yeah, Neurosis. Oh man, definitely. So if you're wanting more chill, more stuff on the chill side of post-metal, I would recommend The Eye of Every Storm by Neurosis. That's the follow-up to A Sun That Never Sets. It's got some darker parts to it, but it's overall the heaviness is toned down.
You feel like Jake could go to sleep to that.
Maybe some of it. Some of it's
Which
some
one?
of
You
it's
said
A Sun That Never Sets.
A Sun Never
No,
Sets.
sorry.
No,
The Eye of Every Storm.
Eye of Every Storm.
The Eye of Every Storm. Yeah, that one's got a very unique vibe to it, and it kind of tones down the aggression a little bit. But if you're into the aggressive stuff, definitely check out Given to the Rising. That album just like punches you in the face.
Yeah, I hit plus on my library like when he told it to me. I was like, okay, I'm listening to that one next.
Yeah, it's funny. For the chill people, you got 2004's The Eye of Every Storm, The Eye of Every Storm, and then 2007's right after that if you want to get punched in the face, with 2007's Given to the Rising.
It's fascinating to me, like listening to even bands I like now, where like you hear their first album, then you hear like, oh, okay, second album is similar, and then suddenly they go into like they get heavier. Like they just get heavier and heavier as they go, and then they got tired of that and they switch it up and like they change it. So it's really interesting just seeing the evolution of these bands.
That's pretty interesting, yeah. Well, guys, any final words on ISIS?
Not specifically ISIS, but
Yeah.
just in the words of Tenacious D, you can't kill the metal will live on.
Oh, Nelly. Oh, Nelly. Also, real quick side note, the prison like concept that a panopticon is supposed to be, it's circular. So it just endlessly goes round and round and round. It's pretty interesting.
Isn't that... Oh, no, maybe I'm not I was thinking of Tears of the Kingdom, where you come across those mazes, whereas like those monsters are trapped in there and you have to fight. It's like a gauntlet. But I can't remember if it's a circle or a square. I think it's cube.
No, they're squares.
They're squares? Okay,
yeah.
They're like on islands.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, they're like
Yeah.
floating islands.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea of the panopticon is like a circular thing where you have every cell is within view of the center. So
Oh.
Yeah, you can see every cell from the middle, and I think there's supposed to be like a tower in the center. So,
Interesting.
Yeah. I think I've seen some sci-fi stuff with that kind of.
yeah, I mean, it's
prison
definitely
concept.
a very influential concept, even though a prison like that never was actually built in reality. But just the fact that it exists as in someone's imagination inspired a lot of different people to come up with a lot of different ideas based on that, which is kind of cool.
It is cool because a lot of people feel like they're in prisons of their own, maybe.
Prison of the mind. That's probably what Jeremy Bentham was. It's probably what he was experiencing when he came up with the concept of the panopticon. We'll bid you guys adieu. Thank you for listening. If you're interested in this, we have more peak analysis on different albums of various genres. I also want to shout out, David, our the best covers of all time, or whatever that episode of Snarp Fangle was.
Yes,
That was
yes.
that was a fun listen to, and a fun, well, pun intended. Yeah, that was a fun listen. So yeah, check out that if you want more music content as well as other peak analysis. The last one we did was Led Zeppelin 4, which was super cool. And then some other ones as well. Need to Breathe album, Dark Side of the Moon as well. So yeah, take a gander. Oh, and U2's Joshua Tree.
Yes,
Can't forget
yes,
that.
yes.
Can't forget Joshua Tree. And also, don't forget us as we bid you adieu. And remember, when Jeremy Bentham visited the dreams of Aaron Turner and said, my boy, read me. And keep rolling. And Snarp Fangle on.
Bye-bye now.